also the academic angle is interesting because I would argue that I actually know that the polyglot conference and with it other polyglot gatherings such as the polyglot gathering, etc., were born as a split from academia, where polyglots would feel that their endeavors and efforts were not appreciated or did not have a room in academia, so that they created their own event, as opposed to having three polyglots partaking in a panel within an academic conference. You go ahead and create your own parallel conference, which may or may not incorporate academic elements. If it's the polyglot conference, it does incorporate them. If it's a polyglot gathering, it doesn't for the most part, right? And what you see then with YouTube and social networks and language learning platforms is the rise of micro celebrity. People who are not necessarily professionals, by which I mean not formally trained in linguistics, that nevertheless can acquire status and influence on a par with traditional academics, or even much more so than traditional academics. And then what you see then is a pendulum swing, right? A backlash from academics saying, wait, you're going too far. You're claiming this and this and this with such poise, but where are your credentials for claiming so? What have you read prior to making that assertion? Or are you just saying it because it sounds cool? It sounds cool to say, don't learn languages with a grammar translation approach, learn them by comprehensible input, right?
Well, actually, first of all, what I think it's interesting, to point out is that language learning methods, they are the ones that exist, and and we've been studying languages in a similar way for millennia. I once read the book about how the Akkadians learned Sumerian, and I would read it, and this drilling, memorizing glossaries, practicing speaking, all of that. We've been doing that for millennia. The methods haven't changed. The tools we use to sort of enhance those methods, that's the innovation, right? But things haven't changed for a long time. It's all about putting in the time, putting in the effort, and of course, then the method makes things a little bit easier, more enjoyable. But at the end, everything is invented, sort of say.
And I think that Brusos makes this point exactly in his article about YouTube polyglots. He says, listen, for all the supposed originality of the new methods and the over-the-top names that they have, this, rather than a solution or a reflection of the originality, is a desperate scream to hide the fact that there is no underlying originality. Right? There is a new name, but it's an old reality. New name, same game, right?
It's basically...
And even if you call it polyglot, like I was reading Cato Lomb's book in 1970, which wasn't translated into English until in 2008, symptomatic of the fact that polyglots were not cool until the 21st century. And she says essentially many of the things that you can see in Benny Lewis fluent in 3 months, right? Like the core ideas are already there. Start speaking for day one, pay attention to motivation, etc., etc.
The one you just mentioned, she's the Hungarian woman, right?
Yes.
I read that book, and what I find the most interesting is that when you actually read it, I don't know what impression people get, but the impression I get from that woman is that she was extremely hardworking, extremely analytical with the language, and that she didn't actually, her method was just to power through it. Like, I remember one part of the book where she talks about how she basically wanted to learn Japanese, but she didn't have any resources, so she started reading the instructions of a machine in Japanese, and that was all she needed. You know the amount of effort that takes to basically write in your head the grammar of a language. It's not like you're using Princelet.
For all her ability to foreshadow techniques that will be recycled and rehashed in today's polyglot industry, she also made points that have been forgotten, like her insistence on reading, for instance. that is much more unattractive nowadays as part of the polyglot industry, right? And the amount of effort it took her to learn languages, but also let us not forget the fact that she was actually an interpreter translator,
She
was
was
not an
educated, yeah.
amateur enthusiast,
Mm, yeah.
right? So it was a polyglot before the polyglot industry, right?
Yeah, the only reason why I'm making emphasis on who she was and how she actually studied things is that uh, if you read uh, about her book, many people would just understand how difficult it is. But
Mhm.
when gurus, basically polyglot gurus, try to
Right.
sell you
Yeah.
the idea of becoming a polyglot, they don't tell you, oh, kill yourself studying the way she did, right?
Right.
They always come up with magic bullets for fluency and all of that. But yeah,
Yeah.
she was
I think
exceptional.
there's one element that has persisted, which is the incorporation of autobiography, as in, I
Hmm.
was born here, I did this, I did that, and that's how my method is related to those experiences or comes from those experiences that serve to validate the method. But at the same time, the way in which you tell that story, the
Hmm.
Bildungsroman nowadays is very different.
Hmm.
You romanticize that story and saying, "Oh, I took a flight to Japan and took a course in immersion in samurai Japan for 3 months, and from there I understood the importance of kanji, and now that's how I arrived to Japanese, and that's why culture is an important element." Whereas her tale does not try to glamorize anything.
Hmm.
It's much more raw and honest in that sense. It says, look,
Yeah.
I just invested this bunch of hours. If you want to reach the same level, you have to walk through that fire.
And many people, if they are actually confronted with the real lifestyle, they may don't like it. It's not
Right,
attractive
right.
to be old for many people. Maybe for us, it could be, and it is. But for many people to spend most of their free time uh, studying with
Mhm.
languages is something that they would just not do because maybe they are lazy, maybe they just don't like it that much, right? People are enamored with the idea more than what it entails.